To Spa-Francorchamps for the fourth round of the 2019 Euroformula Open season. This is the third time in 4 weekends we've gone racing, bringing to a close a very busy opening stanza to the season. A circuit which always produces some of the best racing of the year, the legendary 7-kilometre challenge of the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. You join myself, Ben Evans, alongside me, Elliot Wood, on an overcast and breezy afternoon. There's been little showers moving in and out as well, which makes for very interesting conditions. However, in qualifying this morning, it was Marino Sato who claimed his third pole position in succession, Elliot, and the Japanese driver coming into the weekend as the leader in the championship, following a good time in Hockenheim a fortnight ago and continuing that rich vein of form.
He is indeed, and as we saw in qualifying, there was lots of different strategies. Teams tried different things, and Marino Sato is a person who sorted it out best and set his lap when the track was at its fastest.
Alongside him on the front row of the grid is his compatriot and teammate for Team Motorpark, Yuki Tsunoda, one of a handful of Red Bull-backed drivers in the field, and Tsunoda's claiming his first victory of the season last time out in Hockenheim. Third on the grid is Jack Doohan, leading the RR Racing charge, and Doohan, currently 9th in the championship, finished in 2nd place in race 1 Hockenheim, but the 7th place finish in race 2 maybe not really a reward for his pace over the weekend. Lucas Dunner, 4th in the championship standings. The Austrian for Teo Marti Motorsport, though, has been remarkably consistent all year. 5th on the grid and leading the Carlin charge is Christian Hahn, and the Brazilian driver has been so rapid in qualifying throughout the course of the season, and this morning was no exception. 6th on the grid is the second of the RR runners, Linus Lundqvist, the reigning British Formula 3 champion, 6th in the championship standings, chasing a first podium and victory of the season. Could this afternoon be the opportunity? 7th on the grid for Tepe Nattori, the Honda-backed driver running with Carlin. And Nattori, his season yet to really catch fire, a best result of 6th in race 1. For Liam Lawson, well, he came into Hockenheim as the championship leader. Since then, it's been tricky. 2 spins in the race in Hockenheim, and Lawson 2nd in the standings, but 8th on the grid for today's race. At least this is a circuit we can overtake and climb through the field. Javier Gonzalez and RP Motorsport returning to the championship, having skipped the past couple of events, and back and immediately on the pace, with rounding out the top 10 for Team Motorpark, Julian Hanses, driver who is 5th in the championship and in pursuit of his 3rd rostrum of the season. So here is a look back then at what happened in Hockenheim a couple of weeks ago, as Marino Sato led the way from Jack Doohan and Linus Lundqvist into turn 1. Hockenheim circuit, a new challenge for the Euroformula Open, one that produced some enthralling racing. Christian Hahn was very much in the thick of the action early on in race 1, as was Billy Munger, going wheel to wheel with teammate Tepe Nattori. Carlin teammates getting a little bit too close for comfort of time, and that allowed Williams to get in on the action. But for Marino Sato, it was a reasonably comfortable lights to flag victory in race 1 in Germany, to the light of Team Motorpark. So that's what happened a couple of weeks ago. Today, a very different race in prospect. As the cars head off now. So the cars onto their green flag formation lap to start ahead of the 7th race of the season. This how they are up in full then. Marino Sato and Yuki Tsunoda on the front row. Then Jack Doohan and Lucas Dunner from row 2. Row 3 of the grid, Christian Hahn and Linus Lundqvist. Then row 4, Tepe Nattori and Liam Lawson. Both of them will be looking to try and gain ground early on. Javier Gonzalez and Julian Hanses on row 5, ahead of Nikolai Kiergaard and Callum Williams, the first of the Fortet runners, in 12th. Glenn Samaya and Cameron Dass, a very feisty row 7 from Billy Munger in 15th, just ahead of Aldo Fustante. row 9, Pierre-Louis Chauvet and Rui Andrade. Then Franco Colapinto on his debut lines up in 19th, just ahead of CF Racing, making their debut Stefano Lini, with Stuart Wiltshire rounding out the field in 21st place. And Elliot, we saw in qualifying this morning that some of the cars look really quick, but also some of them look really loose.
Indeed. There's two long straights on this circuit, which is the Kemmel Straight and the Pit Straight, and then there's a lot of twisting, undulating corners, which means you have to find a compromise when you're setting up your car. Do you want to be super fast in a straight line, but potentially unstable through the corners, or really grippy and, you know, on the dot when through the corners, but you're going to get caught out down the straights?
And that is always the challenge, isn't it? And what we saw in particular, the double left-hander they're arriving at now, Pouon, for example, the pole sitter Marino Sato, he did a couple of very quick laps that gave him his pole position. Thereafter, he was struggling for traction.
Yep, he understeered quite frequently towards the end, and that was when the cloud cover came back to the circuit. And right now we've got very similar conditions to the end of qualifying, where there's a large cloud kind of looming over the pit straight.
So we have got 13 laps ahead of us, about 81 kilometres of racing, and if we fall foul of safety cars, then it will revert to a 35-minute time limit. Fingers crossed we won't have any showers, but there have been a few spots of rain moving in and out of the area all the way through the afternoon. So from pole position, Marino Sato, he will be just hoping to make as good a getaway as he possibly can. And for Liam Lawson, Elliot, 8th on the grid, continues a rather wretched run of luck for Lawson.
It does, yeah. At Hockenheim, he had 2 spins in 2 races when he was arguably the fastest man on track. And we kind of saw similar pace this morning and yesterday by the Motorpark driver, but he just hasn't been able to hook it together once again.
And what we also saw in qualifying this morning was traffic was a major issue. However, in the race, with the long straights, as we've been saying, you can slipstream the car in front. You do have opportunities to overtake. However, to do that, they have firstly got to make it through the La Source hairpin without any trouble.
Yeah, the interesting thing about Spa is the track surface here is grooved going along the pit straight, which can aid extra grip when it is wet. And it's also an uphill start. So it's going to some drivers could very easily get caught out.
But sometimes the uphill start can just help with finding the biting point on the clutch, depending on the driver's preference. For Marino Sato, though, he is the black car with the red nose cone. Alongside him is the Red Bull liveried car of Yuki Tsunoda on row 2. It's another black car with a red nose cone, but with silver piping, Jack Doohan. The predominantly white car of Lucas Dunner alongside him. Then row 3, the blue car of Christian Hahn. The black, fluorescent yellow and blue car of Linus Lundqvist. You would expect one of those 6 to be leading the fray as they arrive into La Source for the first time.
If we remember what happened at Paul Ricard with the start, it was the clutch biting point, which is what caught Motorpark out.
Let's see then. Green flag waved at the rear of the field. Eyes to the gantry as the red lights come on now. We wait for them to flash out, which they do. It is a good start from Marino Sato, very smoothly away, as was Yuki Tsunoda. It's Jack Doohan who gets bogged down a little bit and may well be jumped here by Lucas Dunner, if not more, as they turn through La Source for the first time. The first half of the field through safely. So at the second half, as they plunge down towards Eau Rouge for the first time. But it's Sato who leads, then Tsunoda, Dunner, Doohan, Christian Hahn, Linus Lundqvist, and then Liam Lawson has climbed up into 7th ahead of Tepe Natori and Javier Gonzalez as they clamber out of Radion and on towards the Kemmel Straight for the first time. This is where the jostling for position starts. Oh my goodness, and it's close as Jack Doohan trying to force his way past Lucas Dunner as they head in towards Les Combes, but it's Christian Hahn who's the beneficiary. He slingshots them both. Dunner goes straight on as Liam Lawson's also made ground. He's gone up into 5th position. Several of them, including both Fortec cars, scatter across the grass on the exit of Les Combes as they plunge down towards the Bruxelles hairpin. And Lucas Dunner has lost a lot of ground as Linus Lundqvist comes under pressure from Tepe Natori. Nikolai Kiergaard runs out a little bit wide. That brings him into the clutches of teammate Billy Munger, and also, I think, a fast starting, possibly Franco Colapinto. Oh, and Javier Gonzalez, the inside of Tepe Natori.
And we're seeing a few drops of rain on the camera lens here, and the race has been declared wet, so it's going to be very interesting.
And the race being declared wet, what that means is that if the rain comes down more, they won't stop the race for the teams to change tyres. It will be to the teams and drivers' judgment, as Yuki Tsunoda is right up with Marino Sato. Everybody else is right up with Christian Hahn, because Liam Lawson has found a way past Jack Doohan, as all of the front of the field accelerating out of Stavelot on towards Blanchimont, coming towards the end of the first lap of the race. And one of the RP Motorsport cars just kicking tyre out wide. Lucas Dunner, however, may have picked up damage. He's not come through Sector 2 yet, as Liam Lawson has gone up into third position. Phenomenal first lap this from Lawson, as Christian Hahn looks to draw alongside him, but can't quite do it into the bus stop chicane.
We've got several cars coming through the picture now, and there's one of the Fortec cars that's gone straight ahead at the final
That was Callum
corner.
Williams, who went flying off. He's rejoined, but he missed his braking point by some margin, it's fairly safe to say, as Jack Doohan's now got the run on Christian Hahn as they run down out of La Source. Oh, it might be slippery there. Somebody's lost a nose cone.
Pierre-Louis Chevet, who did look like he was struggling on the first lap as well. He cut across a few corners.
As Hahn's got a good run on Lawson, possibly as they come out of Radiant onto come straight. Indeed he does. Now this is ferocious racing in the early stages, as Javier Gonzalez and Tepe Notori go wheel to wheel. Jack Doohan trying to follow in Christian Hahn's wheel tracks. This is going to be the mother of all sort-outs on the brakes into lane com, and through goes Hahn. Doohan tries to follow through. He's not quite got the space, as Liam Lawson looks to fight back on Christian Hahn immediately as they swing downhill through the right-hander on towards the Bruxelles hairpin, but Christian Hahn reclaims third. It's Nikolai Kiergaard, I believe, who lost his front wing, who goes very slowly through the first sector. But we've got this group of cars all the way back up to and including Guilherme Samar pretty much running as one in the fight for third position. And that, unfortunately, is a very battered car for Lucas Dunner, and he's putting on wet tyres. That's a bold move.
Yeah, and Lucas Dunner has finished, I believe, in the top 5 in every race so far. He's a very consistent performer.
He was 7th in race 1 at Hockenheim, but other than that, he has been inside the top 4 in every race. But gambling on wet tyres in the hope that the rain moves in.
And what we could find is some parts of this track could be wet, as we saw at turn 1, but other parts could be dry. So this may be a gamble that will only pay off later on in the race. Well, Cameron Dass is falling down the order pretty quickly too. Did look like he was near the back on the first lap as he started higher up.
I wonder if he's had a moment somewhere. He lost about 5 seconds through the middle sector as they arrive into the braking zone again for the bus stop chicane. This is only, would you believe it, to complete the second lap of the race. And Billy Munger's also had a brilliant start. He's up into 10th place and well in amongst this group. So it's Sato from Tsunoda, then Christian Hahn from Lawson and Doohan, Linus Lundqvist, Tepe Notori, Javier Gonzalez, Julian Hanses, then Billy Munger and Guilherme Samar, and that group through to 11th, pretty much running as one. Now, is Lawson going to be close enough to challenge Hahn this time around as they come out of Radiant? It's not a done deal, but now he's in the tow behind Hahn as they head on to the Kemmel Straight, and Christian Hahn, he's not even going to fight this. He is just going to have to allow Liam Lawson through. Maybe Hahn thinks he can fight back on the brakes into Les Combes. Nothing doing. So Liam Lawson reclaims that third position, but it's slippery out there.
And Javier Gonzalez got past Linus Lundqvist there, right in Le Combe.
And here is the reason why it's Nikolai Kiergaard has been limping round. He heads into the pits.
Free pit stop.
Potentially so, as
Cameron Dass is in the pits as well. Car doesn't look like he's changed tyres.
maybe he's lost. Maybe he was the driver who lost his front wing, because there's still half a front wing over at La Source. And it wasn't Kiergaard, it wasn't Dunner. And now that Lawson is through past Hahn, he's beginning to try and pull away. So it's Marino Sato who leads. Yuki Tsunoda is second. Liam Lawson is third. Christian Hahn is fourth. Jack Doohan just behind him in fifth. So they accelerate out of Stavelot once more on towards Blanchimont. And this fight for third, though, it's now the best part of 4.5 seconds adrift of the fight for the lead of the race. As Julian Hanses looks to try and make up a little bit of ground on Linus Lundqvist as they arrive in towards Blanchimont. Here's the race leader, though, Marino Sato, chasing win number 3 for the season. As Jack Doohan, kicks the car sideways coming out of the bus stop chicane. Meanwhile, Javier Gonzalez has got a decent run on Tepe Notori as they head towards La Source. Linus Lundqvist under pressure from Julian Hanses. And Hanses to the inside of Lundqvist and is able to make the move stick. So Linus Lundqvist slips down to 9th position. As Jack Doohan looking to take the challenge here to Christian Hahn as they climb out of Radignan. Linus Lundqvist looking to do much the same to Julian Hanses as well. And there's a double bubble toe here, possibly for Linus Lundqvist, because Javier Gonzalez is there as well as Tepe Notori, as Doohan and Hahn are a little bit too close for comfort. Into late common, Christian Hahn snatches a break, slithers offline, and that's well read by Jack Doohan. He saw exactly what was happening, responded accordingly, and now moves up into 4th, off to try and chase down Liam Lawson. Linus Lundqvist, meanwhile, seems to be struggling for straight line speed, or possibly something more problematic than that, because he was right on the cusp of moving clear of Julian Hanses, and now he's got Billy Munger right with him.
He did look a little loose for Eau Rouge. I'm not sure if that was the car being put under compression. We've got a replay here of Christian Hahn's wobble. He did a very good job to catch it, and he's only lost 1 spot out of it. There's more raindrops appearing on the screen as well, and you see it in this shot, so I'm wondering if the track's actually getting wetter, and Lundqvist's car isn't set up for that in mind.
No, Linus Lundqvist seems to have gone for a setup which presumes that June in Belgium is going to be nice and sunny, whereas the sky is starting to look a little bit like a Sisters of Mercy album cover, in that it's getting very dark indeed, and Billy Munger has now got a run on Linus Lundqvist. More spots of rain coming out of Stavelot. And this is a cracking race so far, as Julian Hanses now sets off in pursuit of Javier Gonzalez. Blanchimont, that's suddenly damp on slick tyres, is not a totally enviable proposition.
And it looks like Yuki Tsunoda's got a lot closer to Marino Sato. There were 6 tenths separating them as they crossed the line. That's come down to just over half a second. We've got something happening at fun corner. Billy Munger's getting involved with Guilherme Samaya. Was Linus Lundqvist just ahead? Little wobble on the curbs. You can see how wet it is there.
Very slippery, and Billy, he went offline to challenge Linus Lundqvist. It was a little bit more slippery than maybe he'd anticipated, because it keeps changing lap on lap. And now, definitely more spots of rain through La Source than there were a lap ago. We are only on lap 5 of 13 in this race.
And Stefano Lini at CF Racing, debut team and driver, was in 13th a lap ago, but he's dropped down to 16th now. So he might have had a problem as well.
Yeah, I think that could have just been pure racing, looking at his lap time, as Jack Doohan trying to get with Liam Lawson, Tepe Notori and Javier Gonzalez, Billy Munger and Guilherme Samaya. And Samaya this time doesn't quite do a Christian Hahn, but Munger is watching and waiting for his opportunity. We've got warning flags aplenty all around the circuit as well for various track limits adventures. So Yuki Tsunoda is only 3 tenths adrift of Marino Sato. Jack Doohan is clambering up towards Liam Lawson. And then we've got this ferocious battle headed by the blue car of Tepe Notori. Then it's the black and silver car of Javier Gonzalez. That's for 6th and 7th. The black and red car of Julian Hanses is also part of the group. Another driver who's made good progress is Franco Colapinto, up into 13th on his debut. Lucas Dunner, that gamble of wet tyres hasn't really worked out for him, so he's back in the pits. But of course, in the Euroformula Open, they do have the benefit of a couple of drop scores through the season.
Just looking at lap times, isn't it? The cars at the front are the quickest, but Christian Hahn, who we have seen wobbling pretty much every time he's gone through the comb, has actually been the fastest over the last 2 laps.
Yeah, Christian Hahn is a revelation this season in terms of the way that he just seems to have really hooked into what the Carling car is doing, and he's driving with a level of confidence and exuberance that is lighting up these races, as now Guilherme Samaia has got the opportunity to look to challenge Linus Lundqvist.
And Marino Sato's just set the fastest lap to extend his lead up front, and we did see another car in the back of that picture who's behind the Linus Lundqvist battle, went very wide at the last corner. See if anyone's lost positions over the line.
No change of position, possibly was Callum Williams, as Julian Hanses has got a run here on Javier Gonzalez as they climb out of Radion, this for 7th and 8th. So the race leaders are being, well, are they being reeled in by the group behind? Maybe, as Gonzalez Hanses go wheel to wheel into Les Combes, which in years gone by has been the scene of some fairly spectacular incidents in Formula 3 racing.
Yeah, and it looks like Guilherme Samaia's got past Linus Lundqvist just behind them as well, so 2 moves happening at the same corner there.
It really is all change, isn't it? And here are the race leaders, and in the background I would say Liam Lawson, well, he is demonstrably getting closer. He's 3.2 seconds back, and a few laps ago that was some 4 seconds or thereabouts.
It does look like there's no rain on our camera anymore, so it does look like the track's getting dry, which may explain why Marino Sato's at the pace.
And this is one of the things that really sets these drivers apart from those of us watching at home, is they've just got an intuitive feel for what the grip level is going to be corner to corner in these changeable conditions. There's a little bit of a kick of the tail of the car there for Jack Doohan in 4th position, continuing to try and chase down Liam Lawson. And as the track dries out, so the gaps begin to ebb and flow. Sato pulls clear of Sonoda, Lawson pulls clear of Doohan.
Sato's just set a personal best 2nd sector, which is actually the fastest of the race so far. And he's coming through the final few corners, just crossed the line. We're going to see his gaps extended to 1.3 seconds over Yuki Tsunoda now. So that is the largest it's been the whole race, I believe.
As we are, well, we're going to hit half race distance midway through this lap. And the leading quartet for the first time looking reasonably settled. Here is the race leader, Marino Sato. And that last lap, he was the best, well, he was over 0.4 of a second quicker than Yuki Tsunoda. And as you say, Elliot, it just gives a little bit of daylight. And once you get sort of 1.5 seconds clear of the car in front, that's when you start to lose the toe effect on the Kemmel Straight.
Yeah, and Julian Hanses in 7th place. Looks like he's already done that to Javier Gonzalez behind. He's pulled out several attempts just soon after overtaking him, so he should be clear of him soon. Looking around at the pit boards in the pit lane, because we can see all the teams, and there are some people preparing pit boards, but it doesn't look like anyone's coming into pit.
Well, clearly so it shows that that and the Sato set the fast lap of the race again last time through suggests the track is fully dry once more, or at least at its driest point in the race thus far. And some of the battling has just settled down a little bit as Julian Hanses pursues Tepe Natori. That's the battle for 6th and 7th. And so as the order begins to stabilise, in terms of the championship, if things stay as they are, it will give Marino Sato the chance to further extend his lead at the top of the standings. Liam Lawson should just hold on to 2nd place if he finishes in 3rd behind Tsunoda, but the gap between Lawson and Tsunoda in the points will come down just a little bit.
And with Sato currently has fastest lap, which to go with pole and win will be his 2nd Grand Slam in a row, I believe. Oh no, 2nd from Hockenheim, which is a rare achievement this season.
Absolutely. He's the only driver who would have pulled that off. Well, he's the only driver in the field who's pulled it off, and possibly the opportunity to do it twice.
Another fastest lap from Marino Sato, 2-minute 11.790. So he's the first person in the 2-minute 11s now. He's got a 1.7 second lead to Yuki Tsunoda.
He really feels comfortable with the grip as Julian Hanses dive bombs to the inside of Tepe Natori. Natori snatched a break, and Julian Hanses has taken full advantage, moves clear of the Japanese driver as the pair of them arrive into Eau Rouge. Absolutely nose to tail. Now Natori may feel that he can tow his way back past as they head along the Kemmel Straight. But he's almost too close, really, to Hanses, because he has to pull out of the bubble nice and early, so it becomes a drag race for a kilometre or thereabouts. And has Naturi got his nose in front? Oh, they're almost interlocking wheels. And Hanses kicks the car sideways. Brilliant defensive driving from Julian Hanses to hold the position from Tepe Naturi. And that now brings Javier Gonzalez back into that fight as well.
That's a very good job there by Hanses. And you can see from the camera there, we got a lot more sunlight that suddenly emerged. Here's a replay of the move. Hanses dives in at the very last second there, and Naturi had almost committed to the corner before he locked the brake.
And this was into Les Combes, and Naturi, he was almost too close to Hanses as they came through. Radion, it meant he had to burst out of the bubble early, and that was doing runs a little bit wide into Fania. Liam Lawson in third. A couple of laps ago, is making real inroads into the lead of his teammates Sato and Sonoda. Not so much over the course of the last lap or so. And indeed, the race, the leading quintet, are all pulling clear of each other at the moment. So the gap's beginning to stretch out a little bit.
And with the circuit drying out and with the sun out now, the track conditions can be slightly different, which means you're going to have to look at your brake bias and make sure the tyres are working. Because as we saw with Julian Hanses there, it wobbled as soon as he touched the brakes.
5 laps to go as Marino Sato and Yuki Tsunoda accelerate through, with Tsunoda in second place, a little bit quicker than teammate Liam Lawson on that last lap. Lawson quicker than Doohan. So the gaps build somewhat.
Naturi's lost another place. He's down to 8th now. Javier Gonzalez of RP Motorsport, which is making its championship return. It skipped the previous 2 rounds to switch from the Piedrafita engine to the new Spies unit that's available in Euroformula Open this year.
So here are the race leaders down the Kemmel Straight. 2.1 seconds now between Marino Sato and Yuki Tsunoda. And Tsunoda, who had a slightly slower start to the season, is on the cusp of making it 2 trips to the rostrum in succession. Now here is Tepe Naturi. He is back ahead of Javier Gonzalez, but for how long? As the pair of them swing through Les Combes. And Naturi should just about hold on for now. But Julian Hanses, you can see now he's past this pair, is really beginning to romp clear. Now here is another look at Javier Gonzalez and Tepe Naturi's challenge through the bus stop chicane, and that's really well done from Javier Gonzalez.
It's a finely judged move there for the final 2 corners.
Now Guilherme Samaya and Linus Lundqvist now beginning to invite themselves back into this scrap, because as soon as 2 cars start squabbling, they slow themselves down a little bit, and it allows those behind the chance to catch up.
And we've got another battle way further down the order. Franco Colapinto is, I believe it's Colapinto holding off Stefano Lini and Rui Andrade. And there's just over a second covering the 3 of them. So we haven't seen a shot of that in a while, but outside the points, there's still fights for position.
Well, you never know what could happen in the last couple of laps of the race. All it takes is one of these battles to end in tears, and suddenly that fight for 12th place becomes one that pays out a couple of championship points. It's the top 6 places for now, looking reasonably secure. But again, Javier Gonzalez closing right up onto the tail of Tepe Naturi through the bus stop chicane, and exactly probably what you were saying about the brake bars. Naturi just seems a little bit uncomfortable into those heavy braking zones, and that is what gave Julian Hanses the chance to pass him. It's giving Javier Gonzalez the chance to get right with him.
Yeah, and as you go through the iconic Eau Rouge Radion section, you're going to have to line yourself up perfectly for the Kemmel Straight, which, as quick as he may be, Naturi has to make sure he's on the brakes perfectly at the end of that straight, otherwise it could all end in tears. And
Javier Gonzalez is very well positioned here to take advantage of the tow actually as they come towards the end of the Kemmel Straight. He gets right into the slipstream behind Tepe Naturi. The Carlin team watching the monitor in the garage as Gonzalez moves to the inside of Naturi as they head towards the braking point at Les Combes, and Javier Gonzalez should make the move. He's done the hard work, he hits the apex, and through he goes, and now attempts to move clear of Tepe Naturi as they head downhill towards the Bruxelles hairpin, We're on the 10th lap of the race, just 3 to go at the end of this one.
And up ahead of them, Julian Hanses, who I believe he's just set his personal best lap, a 2-minute 12.774, which is 7/10 slower than what Marino Sato is setting up front. But Sato's getting slower over the last few laps, whereas Hanses is getting faster. So this may have been a case of saving his tyres and keeping the car ready for the end of the race.
Here is Liam Lawson then in 3rd place, 3.7 seconds adrift of the race leader, Marino Sato. And Sato heading through towards Blanchimont. He would appear to have comprehensively shaken off the attentions of Yuki Tsunoda as the clouds come back over the start and finish area. They don't look quite heavy enough to drop some precipitation. But Sato clearly a bit more comfortable in the dry conditions than his teammates, thus able to build out the advantage now, 2.5 seconds to Tsunoda. Tsunoda has kept the gap to Liam Lawson, hovering at just shy of 4 seconds. Oh, and that is a problem for Rui Andrade on the exit of Fagnes, and he has engaged in some perpendicular parking with the tyre wall. He finds first gear, rejoins.
And we got Linus Lundqvist about to attempt to move at turn 1 on, looks like Guilherme Samaia. He's thought better of it, but that's brought Billy Munger onto their tail. And with a very long straight now, there could be a three-way fight for position. This
could be really interesting, couldn't it? Because Billy Munger should benefit from the double toe along the Kemmel Straight, as it's Samaia who's got the invidious position of punching the hole through the air, and Linus Lundqvist poised to take advantage, but it's Munger who should be able to be the beneficiary, as Javier Gonzalez has to defend from Tepe Naturi. Lundqvist is already ahead of Samaia, as Naturi looks to challenge on the brakes into Les Combes. And that's well defended once more from Javier Gonzalez. In the background, Linus Lundqvist did get ahead of Guilherme Samaia, but Billy Munger not able to find a way past.
But Billy Munger is still right on Samaia's tail. It's very tricky to overtake through those next few corners, but it's as long as his car is stable and ready for the final few corners, as we saw on the last lap, he should be remaining on turn. We've got a replay of Rui Andrade's spin. He just lost control. That's possible. Oh, got very gravelly there. A lot of stuff in his tyres.
Yeah, now who was he immediately behind? Because it looked as if he was just possibly caught in some turbulent air, and that was enough to kick him into the spin.
I believe it would have been his teammate, driver at school teammate Franco Colapinto, and CF Racing Stefano Lini.
And that was possibly what initiated the moment for him.
We're looking at lap times, and Julian Hanses has gone fastest, or set his personal best again. He's now on a 2-minute 12.624, so he's rapidly closing in on the drivers in front. He'll just under a second behind Christian Hahn now, but that's close enough to catch a toe.
It really is, and so Julian Hanses may yet demote Hahn, and that will be a battle worth watching for, as Javier Gonzalez seems to have a reasonably decisive buffer at the moment over Tepe Naturi. It's the brace of cars in front. Here they are, and Julian Hanses is right with Christian Hahn now. 2 laps to go, and so for Hahn, he needs to make sure really that he's ahead of Hanses at the end of the Kemmel Straight, the lap after this one. But Julian Hanses, he's poised to be the beneficiary on this occasion. Can he get in the tow then behind Hahn? It looks pretty likely as they climb out of Radion and blast along the Kemmel Straight, and immediately Hahn has to take the defensive inside line and then tries to squeeze out Hanses. They do the Senna and Mansell at Barcelona trick, but Julian Hanses goes through and cuts right in front of Christian Hahn, makes sure the Brazilian is in no doubt that he is through and up into 5th.
And he's still quite far behind 4th place Jack Doohan, but he's significantly quicker. If you're watching at home and seeing Pierre-Louis Chevet, who's currently in 13th place, going up and down the order every lap, I believe that's a transponder problem. Through sector 2, it's not picking up where he is, and as he crosses the line, it puts him back in his correct position. So he's not overtaking and re-overtaking people constantly every lap.
Meanwhile, Billy Munger has made it past Guilherme Samaia up into 10th position, and so he will be adding to his points tally, and that looks likely to be his 4th points finish of the season, as Marino Sato and Yuki Tsunoda accelerate towards Blanchimont once more for the penultimate time. And Marino Sato is just over a lap away from his third victory of the Euroformula Open season, matching his pace to that of teammate Tsunoda.
And I think Tepe Notori may have made a mistake on that lap because he's lost over a second during the second sector. And he was right on the tail of Javier Gonzalez. As people go across the line, Marino Sato now has a 2.7 second lead over Yuki Tsunoda with a third Motorpark car, also Red Bull back, 7.9 seconds behind now.
Jack Doohan, though, has been keeping Liam Lawson very honest, hasn't he, in this fight for third. He's kept it just within a 1.5 seconds. Doohan not quite close enough to challenge, I don't think, on this last lap. The place that may well change, though, is Linus Lundqvist in his pursuit of Tepe Notori, and Notori behind Javier Gonzalez. Those three cars all likely to be running together by the time they arrive into Les Combes. Meanwhile, Marino Sato, it has been a lights to flag performance this for...
Sato's car is sliding through a lot of the corners, but he just looks very comfortable with it, doesn't he? He's handling it extremely well.
Oh, and Nikolai Kiergaard off into the gravel on the last lap of the race, and he is comprehensively beached. He was in 20th position and looks unlikely to recover from there.
And that is at Les Combes, so most of the drivers will have got past that corner by now, so it shouldn't have an impact on the race because we are on the final lap.
What has happened in the Gonzalez, Notori and Lundqvist battle? The answer is no change in the order. It's still Javier Gonzalez from Tepe Notori and Linus Lundqvist, as Marino Sato doing what he's done very effectively on occasions this year, which is just building the pace through the race. Now here is the departure from proceedings. Nikolai Kiergaard just on the exit of Les Combes, and a couple of spots back on our camera over at Stavelot. I don't think, though, it's going to make too much of a difference, all things considered, as Marino Sato heads towards the bus stop chicane for the final time. And it looks like it is going to be a third victory of the season for the championship leader, Marino Sato. He accelerates and takes the checkered flag, winning race one in Spa. It's his Team Motorpark teammates Yuki Tsunoda and Liam Lawson who follow him across the line, with Jack Doohan home in fourth, the third rookie behind Tsunoda and Lawson, and then Julian Hanses chasing through the field to fifth. Christian Hahn, after a lively performance in sixth. Javier Gonzalez into seventh, and then it is going to be just Tepe Notori from Linus Lundqvist and Billy Munger to complete the point scorers, with Guilherme Samar then across the line into 11th place, and Callum Williams a little bit of a lonely 12th from Pierre-Louis Chauvet, and then Aldo Fustante behind him, and Franco Colapinto on his debut fending off Stefano Lini late on. It's another enthralling race in the Euroformula Open, as Yuki Tsunoda pulls to a halt in Parc Fermé. And that is podium number 4 for the season for Tsunoda, as he goes to weigh in. Having taken that fight Sato early on, he couldn't then quite sustain it through the latter stages of the race. For Marino Sato, very much a case of job done once more. Pole position, fastest lap, and the race victory for Marino Sato, further building his lead at the top of the championship. He celebrates in Spa-Francorchamps. So look then at the final classification. Marino Sato, the race winner, Yuki Tsunoda in second, Liam Lawson in third, Team Motorpark locking out the podium, ahead of Jack Doohan, third of the rookies in fourth. Julian Hanses a good drive to fifth, ahead of Christian Hahn. Javier Gonzalez, Tepe Notori, Linus Lundqvist and Billy Munger gave us great entertainment in their scrap for seventh place, with then outside the points, Guilherme Samaya finishing in 11th. Well clear, though, of Callum Williams, Pierre-Louis Chauvet, Aldo Festante, Franco Colapinto and Stefano Lini having a good scrap. Rui Andrade, that spin late on, and then Stuart Wiltshire ahead of Cameron Das. Nikolai Kjærgaard, of course, retiring, as did Lucas Dunner. And for Dunner, disappointment, his first retirement of the year. So in terms of the Drivers' Championship, then Marino Sato now 27 points clear of Liam Lawson. Lawson a slender advantage, just 6 points clear of Yuki Tsunoda, with Lucas Dunner slipping off the pace with that retirement. So plenty of talking points, as ever.
Marino Sato again first, but the victory at Spa always tastes better. Eh?
Oh yeah, it's just a very good one. Thank you.
How was your race?
The start was okay. Then at some point the track condition got difficult with some drops, but yeah, we knew it. The pace had been very good since free practice, of the very first lap of the free practice. So we knew it. We were good. Also with the teammates, they were fast, but like somehow we did a better job today.
And a stronger first position in championship.
Yes, it feels good.
Well done. All the best.
Went out. It was Marino Sato who got away very well from pole position to lead the field as they headed towards La Source, with then Yuki Tsunoda slotting into second, Jack Doohan slow away, having to really fight for third, which initially went in favour of Lucas Dunner. It was all very busy heading into Les Combes for the first time, and it was Dunner who slithered wide as Liam Lawson was busy scything his way up the order. Meanwhile, Rui Andrade was busy battling lower down the order as Christian Hahn and Jack Doohan fought over fourth place. That slight error from Hahn enough to elevate Doohan through to fourth, behind Sato, Tsunoda and Lawson. Meanwhile, Guilherme Samaya and Billy Munger enjoyed a superb scrap for the final position inside the top 10, eventually decided in favour of Munger. Julian Hanses, another driver who worked his way up the order throughout the course of the race, moving clear of Tepe Notori after the Carlin driver snatched a break into La Source. Rui Andrade was fortunate to get away with this lurid spin on the Exeter Fania. For Marino Sato, however, it was his third victory of the season, and one that was crowned with pole position and fastest lap, further extending Sato's lead at the top of the championship as he led home Team Motorpark teammates Yuki Tsunoda and Liam Lawson. In fourth place, Jack Doohan completing the rookie podium. So on to the third step of the podium to Liam Lawson. Runner-up, Yuki Tsunoda. And race winner for Team Motorpark, Marino Sato. The Japanese national anthem in honour of Marino Sato, 3 times a victor in the 2019 Euroformula Open. Third place for Liam Lawson from 8th on the grid. That was a really impressive drive from Lawson. Yuki Tsunoda took the fight to Sato when the track conditions were changeable mid-race, but as it dried out, he was left in Sato's wake. And it is Marino Sato celebrating on the top step of the podium. And Team Motorpark, their 6th victory of the campaign. So a superb race here in Spa. We will be back tomorrow for more of the same. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. The 3 Red Bull-backed drivers. And more to look forward to tomorrow from the Euroformula Open.